Tonight, we turn our attention to a story that has been shaking public debate in the United States and raising serious questions about how public funds are protected, how political influence intersects with private wealth, and why transparency matters more than ever. Over the past year, American investigators and journalists have uncovered a growing number of large-scale welfare and nutrition program fraud cases centered in Minnesota. What has drawn even wider attention is that some of the money connected to these schemes appears to have flowed into private business ventures, real estate investments, and financial firms, sparking scrutiny not only of the fraud itself, but also of the networks surrounding it.
Asking why Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud.
Public records show that only a few years ago, the reported net worth of a senior U.S. lawmaker and her household was modest. More recent financial disclosures now place that figure in the multi-million-dollar range, a shift so rapid that it has fueled public curiosity and public demands for clarification.
Her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million. Their net worth went up 3,500%. How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
Well, certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this. Of course, should we look into what they're scrubbing from their website. I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws. And by the way, we should also ban stock trading among members of Congress, since we're talking about the wealth of Congress, and I have a bill to do that, and I hope we will do that next year. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is working with us to do that. We have got to stop all of this flow of dollars that is corrupting our system, empower the American people to do what they do best, and we've got to pause immigration. I introduced a bill to pause immigration because we've got to stop this massive abuse of our system.
Part of the public attention has focused on a private investment firm co-founded by the lawmaker's spouse, a firm whose reported value grew sharply within a short period of time. As scrutiny increased, several leadership details were quietly removed from the company's website, raising questions about transparency.
Minette, whose LinkedIn page shows he was a partner in the E Street Group along with Will Haler, there's no publicly known criminal investigation, but there may be something behind the scenes.
We have connected with federal law enforcement on this. I believe that they're looking into it as we speak.
Ned Horsted is the CEO of a South Dakota cannabis company that gave Haler and Minette's company $3.5 million to kickstart investments, but ended up with about $1.8 million back and a court judgment, an IOU for the other $1.7 million. Omar's office tells me she has no involvement in any business ventures, and the situation reeks of political desperation. Horsted says he never dealt with Omar and didn't even have direct conversations with Minette, but he's not convinced they're unaware.
If you have a two-person business and one of them is a spouse of a member of Congress, it seems suspicious, to say the least, that they never knew about $3.5 million that came into the bank account. They never knew that 1.7 went missing.
At the same time, lawsuits involving missing funds, unpaid loans, and disputed investments have further increased pressure, even though no criminal charges have been announced against the lawmaker herself.
The race between Ilhan Omar and Don Samuels got some extra heat this week with accusations of fraud against a business partly owned by Representative Omar's husband. Fox 9's Corin Hogger joins us now in the newsroom after digging into what's behind this legal fight. All right, Corin, what is Omar's connection to these accusations?
Karen, it's nothing directly. Her husband is Tim Minette, and his consulting firm legally got about $3 million from her 2020 campaign. Now he's a business partner in a few business ventures that are involved in lawsuits claiming his companies have made money disappear. Don Samuels seized on reports of fraud against the husband of Representative Ilhan Omar, his opponent in the race for Congress. At a press conference Thursday, I asked him when a spouse's business ventures should become fair game for political attacks.
When the funds are from family source, especially when the family source of those funds come from the public.
A decade ago, the FBI investigated whether Samuels used his position on Minneapolis City Council to funnel money to his wife's nonprofits.
It was based on no facts. I was running for mayor, and evidently somebody wanted to take me out.
He says the FBI dropped it soon after he gave an interview.
Another critical layer of this story involves emergency legislation passed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Federal programs created to feed vulnerable children were expanded rapidly, and oversight safeguards were loosened to speed up aid distribution. Investigators now say those relaxed safeguards may have made it easier for fraud networks to operate.
In March 2020, early in the pandemic, a small group of people in Minnesota had an idea and saw an opportunity. These individuals believed that they could steal tens of millions of dollars from a federal child nutrition program by claiming to serve food to needy children when they were not. Their goal was to make as much money for themselves as they could while falsely claiming to feed children during the pandemic. As their plan met with initial success, they were joined by many others who also wanted to make money by falsely claiming to feed needy children. Before long, the scheme that began with a simple idea in March of 2020 grew to become the largest pandemic fraud in the United States.
Political leaders across the United States are now calling for audits, reforms, and tighter controls over public assistance programs. The central message is clear. Public funds must be traceable, protected, and used honestly.
President Lindsay, the title of the congressional hearing is Oversight of Fraud and Misuse of Federal Funds in Minnesota, Part 1. The U.S. House Committee Chair says the first people called to testify are the ones that, quote, sounded the alarm on fraud in Minnesota. The U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform hearing for next Wednesday is focusing on fraud in social services programs in Minnesota. The Republican-led committee released names of the people to be called.
There's been some discussion about some areas of failure of internal controls.
The list includes Minnesota GOP state representatives Kristen Robbins, Walter Hudson, and Marion Rarick, members of the State House Fraud Committee. Republican James Comer, who chairs the U.S. House Committee, spoke on Fox Business that staffers are speaking to state employees who are whistleblowers.
They're coming in. Some of them are coming to Washington. It's going to send some staff to Minnesota, but we're going to get their sworn testimony, and we're going to go from there. Hopefully that'll lead to bank records that I will be able to subpoena. We're going to follow the money and figure out who all was involved in this fraud.
The committee could call more people to testify Wednesday.
The Trump White House has really turned a very bright light on all aspects of Minnesota policy.
Stephen Scheer is a Carleton College political analyst.
At these hearings, there'll be a lot of rhetorical fireworks. Whether there'll be any real policy changes or possible prosecutions resulting from these hearings remains to be seen.
It's an opportunity for some members to go beyond the oversight role that they have and I don't know, some might say try to score points.
Oh, yeah, there'll be a lot of point scoring on either side. Both Democrats trying to defend Minnesota's operations and Republicans attacking those operations.
The United States has long been admired for opening its arms to migrants from around the world, offering opportunity, safety, and the chance to build better lives. That generosity is a strength, but generosity must be protected. When public programs are exploited, it disappoints taxpayers, weakens trust, and risks harming the very families those programs were designed to serve. Welcoming people is powerful. Protecting public trust is essential. Both must exist together. If you believe transparency and accountability matter, tap the like button so more people can stay informed. Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments and subscribe to Voice of Africa for responsible, African-centered reporting that protects truth, dignity, and progress. Until next time, stay informed, stay grounded, and always stand for accountability.